Hello guys, and we are here today with another Phantom Knights deck profile. This deck has actually been doing pretty well, but I've decided to take on a different build to do a little bit different, because this deck is definitely revolves around the grave and is very big on the grave and doing stuff around the grave. And so a lot of people are playing Burning Abyss with it, and I don't blame them because Dante being able to mill is really good, but I am playing more of a Lightsworn build, getting in some rank 4s, which does allow us to make Minerva, although I understand that Minerva is a prize card, and so if you do build this deck, prepare to not have her. You're probably not going to have her, and you can make her in this deck. Of course, you can always make her with 2 Raidens or an instant fusion, or if this guy gets destroyed, he summons out 2 Phantom Knight monsters, and then their levels are increased by 1, so they become 4. You can only summon dark monsters that turn, but if you were to summon them during your opponent's turn, maybe there was the last attack that can't get rid of them, you can of course use them to make Minerva, or maybe if you can get out another one, make an Amaterasu and do some cycling. But anyways, let's go in. Playing BLS, that's a definite card that I felt wouldn't hurt in the deck. I mean, you're running plenty of lights and darks in this deck, so no problem with that. For our Lightsworn engine, we're running 3 Raiden, 3 Lumina, and then 1 Lila to pop back row, and then so that means there's around 2 with a little bit more targets for solar recharge. And once you get charge and solar recharge, if you can get those 2, then you're really going to do very well, because you get to add a card to your hand after sending 3 cards to your graveyard, and then you draw 2 cards. So you use these 2 cards to draw, so they replace themselves, and then you send another 2 cards, so that you have 5 cards in your graveyard. And so that's just amazing, and that sets up for a lot of plays and stuff like that. Of course, Lumina's always good at just getting back Raiden and then making a Michael or something to banish. 3 Kree Bandit. I like Kree Bandit because it gets rid of 5 cards from your deck, and you get to add a spell or trap card, which can be very key, because sometimes, I will admit, this charge and your solar recharge will clog, but if you get this guy, it can help make sure you see those spells and actually get to those spells and just put 5. Yes, it is doing the end phase, but sometimes you don't have a better hand than summoning one of these guys, and that's it. So I'd rather have the Kree Bandit. Gives us another decent normal summon, because there really are normal summons in this deck that are actually good. And then we have Ragged Gloved. His effect, they all have effects in the graveyard that banish them, but he has an effect on the field where he can, if you use him for an XZ summon, that Dark XZ monster gains 1000 attack. And if you banish him from the graveyard, you can send a Phantom Knight card to the graveyard, so that is definitely useful. You can send in another monster or send one of the spell or trap cards, so that way you can banish them to summon out another one. And then Ancient Cloak, he does have an effect on the field, but you don't really care about it. His effect in the graveyard is you can banish him to add one of the Phantom Knight cards from your deck to your hand. These 3 cards are called Phantom Knights, not the Phantom Knights. This card is the Phantom Knight card, and of course the monsters are also the Phantom Knights. And then this is the guy you really like, because his field effect, if you can call it, is an inherent special summon, so he has a summoning condition, when if you control a Phantom Knight card or the Phantom Knight monster, you can summon him. And his effect in the graveyard is pretty simple. Just summon, just banish him, and you will get to add a Phantom Knight spell or trap card. So that's really good. The card you want to search is Fogblade. You want to search Fogblade because it's a fiendish chain, pretty much, and so that can help to set up stun and whatnot. And went over Solar Recharge, Instant Fusion, because Nording summoning out Raiden just makes a free rank 4, or maybe you use them to summon out this guy and you have this guy in hand, and then boom, you can make a rank 3 at the very least. And then Foolish Burial, just to send more guys or set up for Illumina or whatever. And then Twin Twister. This deck can OTK, so having this card definitely helps. You have plenty of cards to discard. If you want, you can put in Mask Chain second to make Darklaw. That's another card that can help you set up your grave by discarding and getting rid of a monster. But I don't like to play it because I'm afraid I'm going to mill it, and it's not going to help me. Because the thing with this deck, with any mill deck, is that you have to have both good draws and good mills. You have to draw into cards like Solar Recharge and Charge, and draw into just different cards and be able to play. But then when you mill, if you want to go for an extended play, you have to mill more of these guys, you have to mill more of these guys, and that's very important. So I don't want to run too many cards that aren't good to mill. And such as this guy, he isn't good to mill. You actually want to draw into him because he will allow you to dump one of these cards, one of these 9 cards here, But if he is in the graveyard and you control no cards, he's a Gorz, he summons himself out, and he'll just block an attack. But he does summon himself as a level 4, if only he negated the attack. If he negated the attack, then that would be great. And then for the Phantom Knight spell and trap cards, you target a monster with this guy, it gains 500 attack, and the first time it would be destroyed, it is not. This does a similar thing, except it's continuous. It gains 800 attack, and you destroy this card instead, so like a 101 type effect. And then, like I said, this card's a Fiendish Chain, except that monster it's targeting cannot be attacked. So if your opponent has a big field and they are attacking your monster, you can target your monster, and then boom, they can't attack if they can't get rid of this card. And all of these cards right here, you can banish them to target the Phantom Knight monster and summon it out. You can only use one of those effects per turn, well, one each. So for maximum, you can summon a total of 5 the Phantom Knight monsters. You can normal summon 1, special summon out Silent Boots, and then banish, and summon 3 from your graveyard, or summon the same one, because you can keep on targeting the same one if you use it, and then use it for Dante, detach it, or use it for Breaker Sword, the whatnot. So into the extra deck, of course, Norden just to summon stuff out, Michael to banish, clearing to more stun, bounce, blow up the field, doesn't hurt. You really honestly don't make a lot of synchros, because you just never seem to be able to get them out on the field. A little bit disheartening. And normally when I do have raiding, because sometimes I do summon raiding and I just kind of forget about making these guys, because I'm more like, oh, I need to be able to banish these guys to make Dantes to make these cards. And so into the extra rank 4s, we have Amaterasu. If you can get out 3 level 4s, it doesn't hurt because you can summon out a level 4 or lower monster that's banished, which will be these guys because they banish themselves, and then you can add 1, so you can add back your Silent Boots and just helps cycling if you can make them. And then there's also Tsukiyomi if you can get out 2 Raidens. He's kind of in here because he was running Clown Blade in this deck at first, or well, not Clown Blade, but a Trick Clown, and I just kind of left him in here. But yeah, and that's just like, those are the only 2 odd XZ monsters. The rest kind of makes sense. Dark Rebellion, you need a dark XZ monster because sometimes you pop Breaker, so that way you can pop another card and then summon out Dark Rebellion and do a huge amount of damage. Like I said, Minerva, you guys probably don't have this card, but she makes this deck. She like practically makes this deck, because if you can make her, if you can get out the 2 level 4s and just summon her, she'll dump 3 cards, and then when she leaves the field, she'll dump 3 cards when she's sent to the graveyard. You might even draw cards when you use her effect, because you draw 1 for each Lightsworn monster you discard. It's really good. And then Breaker is a Scrap Iron Scarecrow, except he floats. If this XZ summon card is destroyed, then you can summon out 2 Phantom Knight monsters, and they become their level is increased by 1, so that makes a Dark Rebellion. Do note that this is the Phantom Knight monster, so they can be summoned by these Phantom Knight spell and trap cards. So that's something to think. Just if you have an extra one, you just made like 2 Dantes, you have one of them on the field that gained 1,000 attack, so you have game already, and then you just summon out another one. It's like, alright, I have 2. But if you summon them out with these guys, you won't be able to XZ summon, obviously, so they will be banished. These cards all banish those monsters when they leave the field, unless of course you detach them from an XZ monster. And he only gets his effect to float if he was XZ summoned. Just something to think about. And then Alucard popping back row is always good. And then double Dante, they cycle each other, so you should always be able to have a Dante in your extra deck to just do more milling if you need to. But this deck can deck itself out and just destroy its own deck. So be careful about that. But definitely Dante is a good card in this deck, because he's kind of our beater. He kind of just fills up the grave and whatnot. If you get a Dante out and then he lasts another turn and you get a total of 6 cards in your graveyard, you're quickly running through your deck and doing pretty well. And so that is it for this deck profile. It's a really good deck. It's a different take on it. I feel it's a little bit faster almost if you open extremely well. Well, not even extremely well, but just decent. I'm not going to say this deck is clog, but I'm not going to say this deck is broke, if you know what I mean. And so, yeah. See you guys later.